Welcome back to Record Rift, where we tear through history's pages to reveal the moments that shaped our world. Today, we're standing at the Berlin Wall on November 9, 1989, when a divided city and a fractured world witnessed a seismic shift. Picture jubilant crowds, armed guards stepping aside, and concrete crumbling as East and West Berliners embraced after decades apart. This wasn't just the fall of a wall, it was the collapse of an era, a spark that ignited the end of the Cold War. Why did the Berlin Wall fall that night? How did it reshape the globe? Join us as we explore the fall of the Berlin Wall, a saga of oppression, defiance, and unity. Let's break through history. In 1945, World War II's end left Germany divided. The Allies, United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union, split control of the country, with Berlin, deep in Soviet-controlled East Germany, also divided into four sectors. By 1949, two nations emerged: West Germany, a democratic state backed by the West, and East Germany, a communist state under Soviet influence. Berlin became a Cold War flashpoint, with West Berlin a capitalist enclave surrounded by communist territory. Thousands of East Germans, fleeing repression and economic hardship, escaped to the West through Berlin, draining the East of talent and labor, nearly 3 million by 1961. To stop this exodus, East Germany, with Soviet approval, built the Berlin Wall on August 13, 1961. Overnight, barbed wire and concrete divided families, friends, and a city. The wall, 155 kilometers long with watchtowers and guards, became a symbol of the Iron Curtain. Over 100,000 tried to escape, at least 140 died, shot or caught in the death strip. For 28 years, the wall stood as a grim barrier, with East Berliners under Stasi surveillance and West Berliners thriving in a democratic hub. By the 1980s, however, cracks appeared. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev's reforms, glasnost and perestroika, loosened communist control, while economic stagnation and public unrest grew in East Germany. By 1989, East Germany's regime was faltering. Protests swelled in Leipzig and Berlin, fueled by Gorbachev's reforms and Hungary's opening of its border, allowing thousands to flee west. East German leaders, pressured to ease travel restrictions, drafted vague new rules. On November 9, 1989, a press conference blunder by official Günter Schabowski changed history. He announced that East Germans could travel to the West immediately, misreading the policy's intent. Confused but elated, thousands rushed to checkpoints like Bornholmer Strasse. Overwhelmed guards, lacking orders, opened the gates. East and West Berliners flooded through, dancing atop the wall, chipping away concrete with hammers. That night, without a shot fired, the Berlin Wall fell, a spontaneous triumph of human spirit over division. The wall's fall sent shockwaves. In East Germany, the communist government collapsed within weeks, with free elections in 1990. Germany reunified on October 3, 1990, after negotiations between East and West leaders, supported by the US and, reluctantly, the Soviet Union. The reunification process was costly. West Germany invested trillions to rebuild the East, but it ended the Cold War's division of Europe. Globally, the event inspired democratic movements in Eastern Europe, with countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia overthrowing communist regimes by 1991. The Soviet Union itself dissolved in 1991, partly due to the momentum sparked by Berlin. For Berliners, the fall was personal. Families reunited, and the city began healing, though economic disparities between East and West persisted. The wall's physical remnants were dismantled, with pieces sold as souvenirs or preserved in museums. The event marked a victory for freedom, but it wasn't without cost. Decades of division left psychological scars, and nostalgia for East German life emerged among some. The fall exposed the fragility of authoritarian regimes, proving people power could topple even the most fortified barriers. The fall of the Berlin Wall is a defining moment of the 20th century. It symbolized the Cold War's end, paving the way for a united Europe and a new global order. Germany's reunification transformed it into an economic powerhouse, shaping modern Europe. The wall's collapse inspired democratic movements worldwide, from South Africa's end of apartheid to Latin America's transitions. Culturally, it left a legacy in films like Goodbye, Lenin, music like David Bowie's Berlin concerts, and art capturing the euphoria of 1989. Today, remnants like the East Side Gallery, painted with murals, stand as memorials to freedom and division. The fall's lessons, about resilience, the power of protest, and the impermanence of tyranny, resonate in ongoing struggles for liberty. It reminds us that walls, whether physical or ideological, can crumble when people demand change. The night of November 9, 1989, wasn't just a German story, it was a global turning point, a beacon of hope for a world yearning to be whole. That's the electrifying saga of the fall of the Berlin Wall, a night that tore down barriers and changed the world. What do you think? Could the wall have stood longer, or was its collapse inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell us what historic moment you want us to explore next on Record Rift. If this journey through 1989 gripped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell to join our quest through history. Until next time, keep uncovering the rifts that shape our past. This is Record Rift, signing off.